Hello again, you all know the drill by now, and if not, check out this playlist here to get all caught up on the developer sneak preview live streams for Alpha 21, which is still expected to be released in early to mid-May. The general topic of this live stream was level design. The devs revealed that there are 75 brand new POIs coming to Alpha 21, including 14 Tier 5s. Additionally, all other existing POIs have been updated with the new art, which we saw in the last live stream, and many of those have had significant upgrades and overhauls. As always, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave it a like, and if I end up earning your subscription, then welcome aboard. Let's begin. Alright, so first things first here, let's have a look at the new trader compounds. Now, we've had a close look at Bob's and Rect's trader compounds back in livestream number 1 and 2, and now we finally got a closer look at the other 3. So we'll start off here at Trader Jen's compound. Trader Jen is the medical specialist of the traders, and so she has some medical tents outside. She lives inside of a church, and in keeping with their theme of environmental storytelling, you can see all sorts of medical themed items everywhere, as if she was running some sort of a casevac or casualty evacuation station, or otherwise there's some sort of a medical facility here in the apocalypse. So as we walk into Jen's compound here, you can see she's got a little something growing on the side there. Maybe she's got a little bit of a side hustle. And you can see her new sign in the background. They did tease this before in the second developer live stream, and I'll show that to you here. The one on the top there is actually her exterior sign that's above her door, and then this one is, I guess, her interior sign. She gets two because, you know, Jen's just the special one around town. But anyway, you can see all sorts of just new decorations, some of the new art that we saw in the last live stream. They also said that every trader has their own living area, and so we get to go into Trader Jen's little abode here in the back. This would be like the house where the pastor lives for the church. Some would call it a rectory, perhaps a vicarage or a parsonage. There's all kinds of different names for this thing. There's like an oversized new purse. This is totally just the supply satchel with a new skin on it. And she's got all kinds of decorations in the back here. There's new paintings, there's new curtains. It looks really, really nice here. Okay, we're moving on to Trader Joel's now, and as we're walking through the gate here, it's worth noting that there are multiple gates. They said that there's like basically 4 entrances. You can enter into a trader compound from all directions now. You don't have to circle around all the way to the front anymore. And so we saw a lot of this in the art live stream because they were showing us all of these new assets that they used for like the walls and all the scaffolding and things like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to craft those things and use them ourselves, but at least the POI builders and modders and things can make that available to us. And here's another one of those gates that you supposedly will not be able to make. I hope that they do make things like this available, because I just think this is too cool to restrict. I mean, if you can make a drawbridge or an automated drawbridge door, you should be able to make a door like this. And so heading inside to see the man himself, you can see there's all kinds of new decorations in here, from a bear rug to a flag hanging on the wall, and even a mannequin over in the corner with the new military armor. Well, they're calling it the commando armor. And so as of right now, guys, I really don't know what's going on with the player armor. They've said it's coming out in Alpha 22, but then we're seeing stuff like this. This could possibly just be like a mannequin that's more or less like teasing us, basically showing us what the commando armor is going to look like. I think probably for now, the military armor for the character will still just look like military armor. And now for our first look at Trader Hugh's compound. Actually, really not our first look, because we did see little snippets of all the art and stuff that they made specifically for his compound, a lot of military themed stuff. Trader Hugh is a veteran, it seems, and he's got a whole collection of, you know, military medals and pictures of jets and things like that. It basically looks like a military surplus store here that we're walking into. There's all kinds of ammo boxes and camo shirts and things like that, just kind of scattered around, targets and flags, and looks very, very much like a United States of America military surplus store. You see these things like in all rural small towns, basically. There's one right down the road from my house, in fact. And still no word yet on if you're going to be able to like craft any of these things, or just buy them from the trader and have these decorations for yourself at your base, or if we'll have to wait for modders to unlock those things for us. Oh, and real quick, we saw these in the last live stream, but here they are in first person. These are the new player vending machines where you can sell your items to other players in multiplayer. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the tier 5 POIs, and here's a look at Red Mesa. Red Mesa has had the art pass that all other POIs have had. It has also received an upgrade. I said that word earlier, and what I meant by upgrade is like basically converting a tier 4 POI into a tier 5 POI. So Red Mesa is now one of those 14 tier 5s that we will have in Alpha 21. Red Mesa has also been, you can see it right here, it has been given some generators for a Restore Power quest, along with several other POIs, so we'll have more variety in the Restore Power quests. And kind of along that line, there are going to be, they said, 389 infestation quests. So they've gone through and they've kind of tinkered what an infestation will be like in every single one of those POIs. And by the sound of it, what they said is that a tier 4 POI that is an infestation quest then becomes a tier 5 POI. So I would like to know personally, does that mean that you're going to get a new loot chest at the end? It's going to swap out the tier 4 for the tier 5 loot chest? Or is that only going to affect your quest reward for specifically the infestation quests? And in case you're not familiar, we looked at infestation quests in the first live stream that basically is going to double the amount of zombies in the quest. If it's a clear quest, it's instead of killing 10 zombies, it's 20. Instead of 25, it's 50, something like that. Now let's take a look at some of the brand new tier 5 POIs. Most notably, there's prison number 1, which was showcased in livestream number 1, and that is Navezgane Corrections. And man, that one looks really, really fun. Can't wait to see that myself. But the second one is a new reveal in this live stream, which was Navezgane County Jail, otherwise known as prison number 2. And interestingly, there's a heavy military presence here. There's sort of like a survivor camp up on the roof. And they talked a lot about, again, it's a recurring theme here, but environmental storytelling. So there's a reason that the military is here. Perhaps there's a reason there were survivors on the rooftop. Perhaps there's evidence for what went wrong here. And it's up to you to figure that out as you explore it. We did get a nice look at this new tower here. This will be called the Vanity Tower, and it's said to be a very dangerous and fun tier 5 POI. Now, interestingly, one of the things that was noted when we were talking about this tower here is it's like when you go to a skyscraper, a lot of times it's what I call cookie cutter. It's like every level was just a copy paste, and they maybe like did a couple of changes just to make it a little bit different, but it's not like that. Like every level was designed individually from a blank slate. And there was also a casual mention of this nursing home POI, which was not showcased in the live stream, but was showcased in some screenshots on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. So here's a look at those. Also not mentioned is the hospital, which appears to have received a massive makeover. This is, again, a Twitter image that was shared probably actually many, many months ago at this point. So probably could look a lot different, but I figured I'd toss it in here just so you can see what it looks like. I figured we'd talk a minute. They showcased a whole bunch of other POIs, and I'm not gonna just like drag you through all of them, but here's a couple of images here of some before and afters of some POIs that were upgraded. Basically, they instead of just doing a regular art pass where they added in a bunch of decorations, they basically did a complete overhaul. They kept the original feel of the POI, but just made it more compact, made it more realistic and immersive. And they talked about performance being kind of a thing here. By using less blocks in the building, they can increase performance, even though I personally believe that all of this extra detail probably hurts performance. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about performance later. They seem to be very optimistic that they've done a lot, or they've done enough in terms of fixing performance, that some of these things that are going to be hurting performance hopefully aren't hurting it more than it already is today, if that makes any sense. So this is what I like, basically it's like a ranger station, or they call it a fire post, but this has been revamped a little bit. Not a complete overhaul redesign, more of an art pass, and they redid the tower a little bit. This is a new POI here. It's sort of a large burned kind of industrial building, and you can see all the emergency services that are out front, and there's a lot of like, you know, charred looking like soot deposit from the fire that's inside, which I thought that just like looked really cool and made it feel authentic. There's this new restaurant here with a fire station on the side. You might recognize this from Ghostbusters. A new pizza POI. And here's a look at a new power plant POI. This is called Hybrid Energy. It's some sort of maybe like a steam power plant, and it's said to be a tier 4. We've got a truck stop here. We'll talk a little bit more about this in just a couple of seconds. But there's like a diner, there's a gift shop, and then they showed us a whole bunch of new cabins. There was a little bit of emphasis placed on going through the old houses and cabins and kind of giving them a facelift as well, so that they're just not like completely ignored out there in the wild. Here is a Buddy's Grain, which I believe is probably made most famous by Neebs Gaming trying to hold down a Darkness Falls horde in here, which was pretty fun to watch. But anyway, they've done the same old art pass in here, a little bit of a revamp, nothing too crazy, still kept the main feel of it, but made it kind of fit in better with all of the new upgrades that came in Alpha 20 and now with Alpha 21. Just a couple of new downtown things here, nothing particularly special. And then we get a look at this new checkpoint POI again. Now, we saw this in the first developer live stream, but we got a bit of a closer look this time. Just basically a look inside of the tents and all of the medical props that are inside. And then this is just another screenshot from Twitter that they gave us of yet another cabin. And finally, this is another screenshot from Twitter of a military installation, which I believe I heard somewhere. I tried to look back and find someone saying it, but I couldn't find it. I think this is going to be a tier 4 because I remember being surprised, like, wow, it doesn't really look like a tier 4, but I'm pretty sure that that's what they said. I can't wait to see this place because there are HESCO blocks here, barbed wire, there's landmines, just all the cool, like, authentic military stuff that you would expect to see at a sort of camp like this. Okay, so that was basically the quote tip of the iceberg, that there's plenty more to see. They're trying to save a lot of it so that we can explore and find it for ourselves, so stay tuned for more on that stuff. The next thing here is Perishton, which, in case you're not familiar, this is a town in Navezgane. I don't think that now or in the future that Navezgane will really compete with how good Random Gen is and how good it will be. But anyway, they show us a couple of aerial shots here of the downtown area. It just doesn't feel, right to me, I guess. It just looks like they're trying to squeeze a whole bunch of POIs into one area and make it look good. Like they're talking about, oh, this is the downtown area. You can't have a downtown area in a city that has 25 buildings, right? It just kind of feels weird. What took the show here is that they made a bunker into the mountain that supposedly goes all the way through to the other side to another town. So that would be very fun to explore in the future. And just as they poke their head through there, you can see that there's one of those, what they're calling environmental hazards. It's just like a flaming gas pipe that you're gonna have to navigate your way through, or you'll just walk through it and die. Okay, so I promised we'd circle back to this. We saw the truck stop earlier, and then now we're also seeing this like bridge thing right here. This is, it's not really a POI, it's like a tile is what they would call this. And then they showed us this, which was like a rest area and some sort of a like survivor camp that was off the side of a road. Again, this is a tile, not really a POI. A tile is basically like a much larger version of a POI that can have POIs in it. So there's a big tile here at a 4-way intersection, and there's probably 4 POIs, one for every corner, that can spawn inside this tile. So the tile is like this rural intersection, and the POIs that spawned in it were like survivor camp and rest area and perhaps like truck stop or gift shop, just like random little POIs that you would expect to see kind of like in the middle of nowhere, right? So if you're just driving from one city to the next, it's not just going to be a straight empty shot with a couple of wilderness POIs. You might actually come up onto a big tile that you could spend the afternoon raiding and looting and getting some stuff out of. And while we're on this topic, I figured I would mention that they did talk about traders not just spawning at the road that leads into the POI exclusively anymore. So usually, you follow the road and it leads to a city, and right at the head of the city is the trader, and you always know where to find the trader. But now traders can spawn in the city, in different districts. They can spawn out in the wild in one of these like rural wilderness sort of tile sets, which I thought was really cool. It'll kind of help with like the exploration part. Just like back in like Alpha 19, you actually had to like go through the city to find the trader, whereas now it's just exactly where they're gonna be. Okay, so that's enough of the POI stuff. Let's go into the block stuff, because this is the stuff that I really nerd out about. I'm a base builder, so having new block shapes is always welcome in my opinion. So here's a look at the massive, this is just like the room that they built with like one copy of every single block, and they painted it so that you can see what parts are paintable and how you can kind of vary up the appearance of the block. We didn't really get a really close-up view, and they didn't show us all of the blocks in the shapes menu, but they did tell us that in Alpha 20, we had this massive jump up to 1,366 block shapes, and now we're up to 2,058. That's an increase of 692 different shapes. And they did show us one menu which is basically just the basic block shape menu. And there's a couple of new things in here, like windows, which I don't really know if those have glass in them. It kind of looks like they do. There's like a new stair option. There's a new corner centered bar option, which is kind of cool. But otherwise, they didn't go into the actual complex shapes that I really want to dive into. And most notably here, there's also a toggle favorite if you hit S button, and you can always go back to grab them in the future very quickly without having to scroll through. Like personally, my favorite block shape is probably the security gate, so that would be the first one that I put in there. And so then they took us to the window. I guess I'd call it like an arena. Basically, it's like a big POI with like one of every window. So we saw the one for doors in the last live stream and the one before that for that matter. But here's the one for windows. And so you'll have all kinds of new shapes for your windows, from round windows to angled windows. There's even these little like greenhouse blocks that you can create little houses out of glass. And then they gave us a little bit of an up close and personal look at the vault door, which again is looking really, really cool. I love this. And so the last thing here, I touched on it before, I'll touch on it again, is performance. They said that they have completely reworked how windows work in the game. I don't know much about that stuff, so I'll kind of leave it at that, and I'll let someone smarter than me explain that to you guys. In a nutshell, big buildings like skyscrapers, like the Higashi Tower or the Dashong Tower, should perform at least somewhat better on account of this change of how windows work. So last thing here, they did say that there is most likely going to be a fourth and final developer live stream, which will take place next Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 9 p.m. Central Time, which is their time. So that means there will be a fourth and hopefully final dev recap video after that one. That'll be with the programmers. So hopefully I will see you all for that. But anyway, my friends and fellow survivors, I think we can call it a night. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, for leaving a like, but most of all, thank you to the long list of amazing supporters that you see right here. I hope this episode has earned your subscription, and I can't wait to show you the next one. Best wishes to all, and goodbye.